Hello everyone, I am Assistant Professor Jayendra Patel from Mechanical Engineering Department, MGTR, Navsari. In this video, we are going to start with the second lecture of Indian Constitution, and today we are going to cover the history and evolution of the Indian Constitution. In this video, we will cover the first part of this. So let us start with the video lecture. There is a very famous quote which says that those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And it was slightly modified by Winston Churchill, who said that those who fail to learn from the history are condemned to repeat it. So कहने का मतलब ये है कि जो लोग हिस्ट्री में से कुछ सीखना भूल जाते हैं वो लोग पास्ट में हुई मिस्टेक्स को रिपीट कर सकते हैं. So it is better to know the history of each and everything, so we do not repeat mistakes that are done previously. And that is why we need to know the history of Constitution also, so we can understand the Constitution and we can know why such laws are there in the Indian Constitution. When we talk about India, India has a very ancient history, because we are having one of the most ancient civilization in the India, which is known as Indus Valley Civilization, or say Harappa Sanskruti, which goes back to 3300 to 1300 before the Christian era, and the maturity period of the same was 2600 to 1900 before the Christian era. Okay, and we know that the India is world famous for this particular history and the culture, and the evolution of this particular area can never be possible if we do not have any kind of laws. So definitely वहाँ पे कोई ना कोई constitutional history तो रही होगी, but as of now we are not having any proper evidences of that constitutional history. So हमें एविडेंस कहाँ पे मिलते हैं? तो एविडेंस के लिए हमें जाना पड़ेगा 3rd century बिफोर द क्रिश्चियन एरा, विच इज द एरा ऑफ अशोका द ग्रेट. वी फाउंड द एविडेंसेस ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रिंसिपल्स engraved on the major rocks pillars and on the minor rocks, so that public of that area can take the reference of these constitutional principles. They are also known as edicts of Ashoka, and they are still available in the India. So this is the first evidence that we found under the constitutional activities. But when we talk about the current constitution, the history of current constitution of India start with the East India Company. As I mentioned in the previous video, the basic structure, or say the skeleton of our current constitution, is heavily taken from the Government of India Act 1935. And the history of the current constitution start with the entry of the East India Company. So let us go back in the 16th century, okay, where the Britishers came to India for the trading in form of East India Company. Now East India Company had executive rights for trading in the India under the charter granted by the Elizabeth I, who was the British Queen. Now East India Company never stopped only to the trading. They started to occupy the areas in the India, and finally in the 1765 East India Company established its first territorial power in India by obtaining the Diwani of the Bengal, and after that they obtained the Diwanis of Bihar and Orissa also. Now what do you mean by Diwani? Diwani is the right over the revenue and the civil justice. So Diwani में क्या होता है कि आप कर, रेवेन्यू मीन्स कर, आप कर ले सकते हो और सिविल जस्टिस भी दे सकते हो. So this is what do you mean by Diwani. Now after that we will go through the 3 different acts, which are the Regulating Act of 1773. Next is the Pitt's India Act, which is of 1784, and the next are the Charter Acts, which are subsequently came after each 20-year gap. Now, all these laws which are mentioned over here were basically laws implemented by the British Parliamentary to control the East India Company. They were not for the India, they were for the East India Company. But after 1857, when the revolt of 1857 occurred, this was basically the first war of independence, or say the Sepoy Mutiny. Okay, so after the revolt of 1857, the British crown came into existence and they started to implement the laws in the India directly. So basically, East India Company ends in the 1858 and the British crown comes in the 1858. So the whole history can be divided into two parts. The first part will be the company rule, which start from the 1773 to 1858, and the second part is the crown rule, or say British rule, which start from the 1858 and ends in the 1947. Now the very first act of the British crown rule was in the 1858, which was the Government of India Act. Then after, we are having total 3 different Indian Council Acts, which comes in 1861, 1892 and 1909, and further we are having 2 more Government of India Act which comes in 1919, and the next one comes in the 1935, and the last act under the British possession was Indian Independence Act, which came in 1947, which officially ended the British rule in India. Now, this period of British Raj was the time when the Constitution of India started to taking the shape. So basically, the Indian Constitution started to take shape starting from 1857 to 1947. Okay. So finally, the Constitution of India created in the independent India by its own free people in 1949, and which was implemented finally in 1950. So let us start with the very first part of the evolution of current constitution, which is the Company Act, or say which is the company rule, which starts from 1773 and ends in the 1858. And very first act is the Regulating Act of 1773. Now, it was the very first step taken by the British government to control and regulate the affairs of East India Company in the India. Always remember that all the acts that came up to 1857 were to control the East India Company, not to control the India. Okay. Now, let us go to the feature of the acts. So basically, it actually designated the governor of the Bengal as the Governor General of the Bengal, and the very first Governor General of Bengal was Lord Warren Hastings. Next, it made the governors of Bombay and Madras presidencies subordinate to the Governor General of Bengal. Unlike the earlier, पहले क्या था कि बॉम्बे प्रेसिडेंसी और मद्रास प्रेसिडेंसी इंडिपेंडेंट थी, बंगाल प्रेसिडेंसी अपने आप में अलग से एग्जिस्ट करती थी. सो आफ्टर क्रिएटिंग द गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल, दे both presidencies came under the Bengal presidency. So this is what happened in the Regulating Act 1773. Next, the Supreme Court was established at William Fort, Calcutta, which is known as the Apex Court. Now, it happened 1 year after the Regulating Act in 1774, which was having one Chief Justice and there were 3 judges. Next, It prohibited the servants of the company from engaging in any private trade or accepting the presents or bribes from the natives. Natives means Indians. And by these laws, the court of director, that is governing body of the company, needs to report its revenue, civil and military affairs in India to the British government. Ultimately, this law came to control the East India Company by the British government. The next law is the Pitt's India Act 1784. Now, the act was important for two reasons. Very first reason is the company's territory in India were for the first time called as the British possessions in the India. So सबसे पहली चीज यहाँ पे ऐड हुआ है ब्रिटिश possessions, यानी कि ऑफिशियली इंडिया को ब्रिटिश पोजीशन दे दी गई. नाउ द ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट वॉज गिवन द सुप्रीम कंट्रोल ओवर द कंपनीज अफेयर एंड इट्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इन इंडिया. मीन्स कंट्रोल अब ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट के हाथ में जाने लगा एंड धीरे धीरे कंपनी का कंट्रोल घटने लगा. नाउ इट अलाउड द कोर्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स टू मैनेज द कॉमर्शियल अफेयर्स and board of control to control the political affairs. So basically the system of double government came into existence. Initially there were only commercial functions which were happening in the East India Company. Now one more new function added, which is known as board of control, which control the political functions also. So this is the first startup of the system of double government. Now, it empowered the board to control this and supervise and direct all the operation of civil, military, government or revenue of the British possession in India. So this places the Indian affairs directly under the British government. Okay. Now, the next law which came is the Charter Act 1833. Now, basically, it made the Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India. So, first time the Governor General of India came into existence, which was the Lord William Bentinck. Now, it deprived the government of the Bombay and Madras of their legislative powers. The Governor General of India was given the executive and legislative powers for the entire British India. And the law made under the previous act were called as regulations, while now the law made under the act called as acts. Okay. Now it ended the activity of the East India Company as a commercial body. Okay. So basically commercial body end ho chuki thi, no more business, and it becomes the purely administrative body. सिर्फ administration ही करता था. Now, the most important thing it covered is to attempt to introduce the system of open competition for the selection of civil servants. That means, अभी जो हमारे पास GPSC, UPSC है, उसी तरह की services. And it stated that Indians should not be debarred from the holding of any places, office and the employment under the company. Indian भी चाहिए थे. But however, this provision was neglected after the opposition of the court of directors. Finally, there is a Charter Act of 1853, which was known as a constitutional landmark. It basically separated for the first time the legislative and executive function of the Governor General of the Council. Okay, so basically legislative functions and the executive functions separated over here. Okay, legislative functions क्या करती थी कि legislator बनाती थी, that means laws बनाते थे, and implementation करते थे executive functions. Okay, so both got separated and both got their different bodies. In other words, basically it established a separate Governor General's Legislative Council, which came to known as Indian Legislative Council, which is ILC, and this legislative wing of the council functioned as the mini parliament, adopting the same procedure as the British Parliament. Thus, the legislation for the first time was treated as a special function of the government, requiring the special machinery and special procedures. Secondly, it also introduced for the first time the local representation of the Indians in the Central Legislative Council. There were total 6 new legislative members of the Government General's Council, and among them 4 members were appointed by the local, which is a provincial governments of the Madras, Bombay, Bengal and Agra also. Next, it finally introduced the open competition system for the selection of and the recruitment of the servants, open to the Indian also. Okay, so finally open competition exam, that is PSC, public service competitions or say exams started, and they were open for the Indian peoples also. Nextly, it extended the company's rules and allowed it to retain the positions in Indian territories on trust of the British Crown. But it did not specify any specific period unlike the previous charters. Now basically over here you need to know why the Charter Acts came into picture. Okay, Charter Acts are basically what? In the Charter Acts, British Crown says that East India Company can continue for how much period more. Okay, every time in 20 year of time period they have to take the permission from the Britain that we need to continue with our company in India. Okay, so basically Charter Acts were coming after every 20 years, but this time the time period was not specified, which was the clear indication that company's rule could be terminated at any time when the parliament likes. Now you can say that during the 1773 to 1858 was the time period when the company established unified control over the whole India from a single center in the Calcutta. Different acts and laws were forced by the company during this period just so the company could remain in power and authority. But finally in the 1857, as we know that the revolt of 1857 occurred and the Crown Rule came into existence, and the rule continued starting from the 1858 to 1947. We will cover the Crown Rule in the next lecture. So till then, keep studying. Have a good day.